Welcome back, YouTubers, to another TNA Impact Wrestling review with us, the British Fist.
Good.
Mr. Parkin here. This guy sitting next to me, none other than the one and only NJ, people.
What's up?
Subscribe above, like this video, and the usual intro applies here. Comment your thoughts on the show down in that comment section below.
And actually contact us in the links in the description box below.
Yeah, so today was Open Fight Night, NJ, a week after Champions Thursday, the second week before we go through Turning Point. Where better to start than with the opener, eh? We opened up the show this week with Joseph Park. Basically, after last week, we found out he wanted to challenge any member of the Aces and Eights. So we get this whole opening segment where the Aces and Eights come out and gang out on Joseph Park. This brings out the TNA roster angle and etc. To basically take down the Aces and Eights. Sting comes down and says that someone is going to have their mask ripped off tonight, kind of ruining a bit of the surprise as to what might happen later.
The thing is, Joseph Park is still trying to get back into the swing of using the mic, especially in front of a large crowd. Oh, yeah. He can do it backstage when the camera's looking at him.
Is it on? Is it on?
But when he's in the ring, he seems to be a bit like trying to get his name out there. It's a bit of a struggle, but Sting comes out, and obviously that, when it lightens up a bit, because obviously you get the direction of the rest of the show, because you have Joseph Parks doing what he said he did last week, was challenge an Ace and Eights member. Yeah,
so we got the tease tonight that there would be a mask ripped off from one of the Aces and Eights. Don't know why they had to telegraph that though. I mean, why not just leave it as a surprise? But would you definitely enroll yourself in Parkin? Because I know I would.
Do what?
Parkin. Parkin. That's kind of cool. That this is like a little thing. But so a quick opening segment, which I guess got across the point as to what would be the main angle of the night, which, of course, in this day and age with TNA, where they're all about ratings, is none other than the Aces and Eights.
Because that's the thing, with the Aces and Eights, they do need to have more direction instead of the same thing every week, which is a beat. And we've got that this week.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, we did, yeah. Yeah, talk about variety, people. We'll move on to Magnus called out Samoa Joe because he doesn't like Samoa Joe because he's a heel, I guess. And I guess the thing here is, this happened, why 2 weeks after Bound for Glory? Why not the week after? Why did it have to happen 3 weeks, 3 weeks after Bound for Glory?
Because this is the thing, if we're trying to get Magnus to look like a strong competitor on his own without Samoa Joe, he does need to have these weekly appearances, weekly direction. The fact they're leaving it until the very last minute, and the fact that they're waiting for an open fight night instead of the pay-per-view, it's kind of rushing Magnus' segment again. But because of the match itself, it still leaves the door open to what is going to come at Turning Point.
Exactly, and here's a great idea, TNA. Why didn't you have Magnus on commentary for both of Samoa Joe's squash matches? That would have been a nice way to at least keep the feud intact afterwards, talking about how he didn't like Joe's style and he thought he got a lucky victory or something like that. Just something like that, rather than what they've done here, and they've kind of just had a loss at Bound for Glory. 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, he's all of a sudden re-emerging. Magnus uses the wrench and gets DQ'd on Samoa Joe, trying to put a little bit of heat into this feud, I guess, going into Turning Point for the TV title.
The commentators don't really help Magnus because they said, oh, he knew he couldn't beat Samoa Joe, so he had to cheat his way out to win. And that didn't really help Magnus.
But cheaters never win.
Very true. It was a clever way of finishing the match. Then we get Joe really frustrated. The Joe that I'd really like to see, because it shows that he's going to be a fighting dog. He's going to give Magnus what he wants, his rematch, no rules, nothing, everything out the window, just what wrestling's all about, fighting.
So Magnus, if you're out there in post-Bound for Glory voice time, it's no DQ, brother. We're laying everything out there on the line for the TV title. You're about to get your ass kicked by none other than Parkin. That was pretty emotional, that one, wasn't it? Did I do a good impression of Samoa Joe there? Yeah, it wasn't that great, was it? And then in the next segment, we had Daniels and Kaz on the mic. Always nice to see the Daniels strut going down to the ring there.
The big surprise about this, quickly, the big surprise about this is Magnus was the one who started, not Magnus, sorry, that was the same one. We had Kazarian, him being the first one on the mic. He was giving all this, giving that. Instead of Daniels, who was the stronger one on mic, it was given to Kazarian. And Kazarian actually brought out the motion that he actually is a part of this tag team. So I really like Kazarian's mic work here.
And they call out the Spanish announcers team. What a great way! This was entertaining. I love this. They're going on about as if they're going to bring out Chavo Hernandez. They go, "We're about to bring out the Spanish announcers teams." You know, I feel sorry for the Spanish people that watch this because throughout this segment, They didn't get any announcing, which is a real shame in my opinion.
Well, for this quickness, there was really nothing to this. We all knew what was coming, and it should have happened. It was a big beat down, and yes, you had one of them attack Daniels briefly, but then the beat down. But out comes the tag team champions to continue the tag team feud and hype. So I really enjoyed that segment. And it really continued the hype going up to pay-per-view. It
was a nice way to get heat on Daniels and Kaz and actually put some meaning into this. I guess my only issue with the segment was when they called out the Spanish announcers, they just cut to advert straight away, which really doesn't help the impact of the segment. That's my only issue with this. But otherwise, it was a good segment to get heat on the heels, really, in my opinion. In the promo segment, which was good. After that, we have Gut Check. Christian York's Gut Check against Zema Ion. Now, Christian York, I think me and you were both a little bit like, no, I don't really care about this guy. But after seeing what he looked like in the ring, he had a pretty good look. He muscled up a little bit. He looked very accomplished in the ring. I think he's been one of the best wrestlers so far in Gut Check, personally.
The thing about this match is they picked him a good opponent to go up against, another great mover in the ring and great performer. They both have fancy hairstyles. But the thing about this match that stood out is that this guy, even though I don't really like the style of his hair, but his performance in the ring actually showed that TNA are actually trying to give us some strong wrestler within the Gut Check. And this match was pretty good because it could have gone either way.
Did anyone else think that may have been Tyler Rex in disguise? I'm just putting it out there, guys. Zema Ion wins via submission using the hold, I don't know what he calls it now, but the submission that no one's going to get out of, and he's going to use that until Jesse Sorensen's going to come back to TV. So Zema Ion gets the victory, but Christian York, in 4.5 minutes, put on a pretty good performance, I thought. I wouldn't be surprised if he does get a contract.
It's going to be a bit of a struggle, a bit of a surprise if he gets turned down, and I'm not expecting him to turn down another Gut Check, not after the bad performance from the last ones.
There's been so many bad Gut Checks, but this one was at least a positive light in the Gut Check segment so far. We had a nice backstage segment where you had Bully Ray, Angle, Sting, Garrett Bischoff fighting the Aces and Eights backstage. I thought there was just a nice different way to put across what was going to happen in the main event.
This was a strong way, really good way, because obviously you had Demon at the end when his boys are getting, well, his boys, 'cause it still feels like he's the one who's being left out on his own.
Right, yeah.
So it's still the whole leader tactic going on. But then you have Bully Ray chasing D1 away, and the fight goes on. The only thing I don't like about this, which I'm glad they meant for up in the end, was in these fake segments, it seems like the TNA members always seem to get the upper hand almost, but the main event part changed that for me.
We move on to the next segment now, which was I can't believe they gave this the hour main event. ODB versus Jesse Goddard was the hour main event of the show. ODB spends most of the time hitting Jesse's chest, fucking around with him, hitting his ass and everything. I imagine they put this in the hour main event for the casual fans, because I don't have any idea why they put this in the hour main event over some of the other segments on this show.
The horrible thing about this, I'm going to say, is Tara and her Waste for Space boyfriend, they had this backstage segment, warming up, rub lotion on my hands, give me a kiss. They did that the same thing in this match. Most of Tara's involvement weren't actually helping out her boyfriend, or the boyfriend actually wrestling. It was them kissing, hugging, good luck and all that. So this was a bit of a waste for me, and the finish didn't help.
Jesse Goddard gets the victory. Oh my god, why was this in the hour main event? Very surprised there was no Eric Young, and I was actually quite happy there wasn't Eric Young, because I thought this was going to be the perfect way to bring back Eric Young, but he still may come back and set up a mixed tag match at the damn pay-per-view though. Ugh. Move on. Are you over it yet? Don't worry, you'll be a Hollywood star one day, NJ. I know you will. You have the dashing good looks. Robbie E versus Jeff Hardy was next. Robbie E called out Jeff Hardy. They set this up in a backstage segment earlier, but why are they associating Robbie E with Jeff Hardy?
The thing is, we've seen this match, as Robert E pointed out before in his his promo thing. He says he's done it before, he's going to do it again, but we all knew the outcome. So to be honest, this match went down the way we thought it would. The only good thing that came from this match was the Aries involvement.
I guess my issue with this is, if you squash him, fair enough. But the match went on very long. There was an advert there. So essentially you're putting Jeff Hardy in a competitive match with Robbie E. I mean, come on, TNA, this is ridiculous. But the Aries involvement afterwards was very good. Even though our stream cut out and we didn't really see much of it, we got the announcement that Hardy wants a ladder match in the main event at Turning Point, which I like the idea of that.
Whenever they represent ladder matches, you do think of Hardy, especially in TNA when he's the master of it. So for the fact that we've got these two great wrestlers going into a ladder match, it gives us something to look forward to and a main event to look forward to.
We had a promo segment next with Bobby. It's a shame, really. Like that's the main event at Turning Point, and it was just after our main event. I guess Robbie E versus Jeff Hardy wouldn't have been a very good main event, but I'm just saying it's weird that they're putting aces and eights in the main event, but Jeff Hardy Austin Aries is in this really weird spot on the card. Doesn't matter. We had a promo segment with Bobby Roode. Like I said, Roode says that he should be champion now that Jeff Hardy is the champion and Aries isn't the champion anymore. And I like the way how AJ Styles came out and pot-shotted WWE for their copying of the Claire Lynch elevator scene.
The thing is that they're both wrestling companies. They're both fans each other when it comes to storylines, because you can always relate to one storyline to a WWE one, a WWE one to TNA one. So Aries, good with that. But this promo between these two especially, it really stood out as this was going to be a good match, a good #1 contender. There's no way they were going to pull away from the Roode and Storm feud just yet.
Indeed, and you have AJ Styles and Roode. You have AJ Styles calling out Roode as it is open fight night. And basically, they brawl for a little bit. Out comes Hogan with James Storm because he's one of Hogan's boys now, apparently. And we get the announcement that it's going to be Roode versus Storm versus AJ in a #1 contendership match at Turning Point. If whoever wins the match gets the shot at the title, but the loser doesn't get a shot until Bound for Glory 2013.
Which God. Makes me think that Roode's not going to get it. It's going to be probably AJ for my prediction straight away. But the thing about this is, I'm glad that these three got their #1 contendership, this shot to fight for it out of nowhere. But these are the three right choice, I think. 'Cause, these three all connect in a way, all going to give us a good match. The stipulation, okay, wild idea, but I'm looking forward to this.
I think it would have been better if they just had a Storm versus Roode rematch for the #1 contendership. It would have at least fit their storyline a bit more rather than just shove AJ in there. I don't know. I'm just thinking out loud here. We then move on to the next segment. Joey Ryan and Matt Morgan, with Matt Morgan stealing Hogan's robe that he wore at WrestleMania 3. We seem to get this segment where Morgan is shooting on management not liking him, and that he can't get their attention, but he will by going through the roster one by one by one. And I want to ask people this: do people really believe that Matt Morgan is going to make more history than the legendary icon Hulk Hogan? I'm just saying.
The other thing I'm going to expect from Morgan, which I'm looking forward to, is that I do see him going through the roster one by one, especially after this match that we're about to get to. I think Morgan, when he says he's going to go for the world title, I clap my hands thinking, this is the Morgan that I wanted to see before he had that little break from TNA.
Yeah, before his contract expired or his dates expired or whatever. Then we get Joey Ryan, who's Matt Morgan's accomplice. It was kind of more about Matt Morgan, really, wasn't it, this segment? But Joey Ryan calls out RVD. The match itself was very short. He says the X Division Championship can be X-rated. Good pun. And Joey Ryan beats RVD in about 2 minutes. Wow, RVD put someone over that wasn't called Robbie E.
Yeah, it's a bit of a surprise that RVD did this when he couldn't have done it to Magnus, who was at the time going towards one of the big feuds of his career at the time. And the thing about this match, yes, Rob Van Dam did the right thing, was he put a new talent over good. Then he had the whole surprise, like what the hell just happened there. Yeah. So this match was a surprise that Rob Van Dam, storyline-wise, and to us fans. Joey Ryan getting the win. I do expect it's probably going to lead to another feud, because from what Matt Morgan did after the match.
Yeah, Morgan hits the Karma footprint on RVD, and I'm guessing they're still going to do a Joey Ryan RVD match at Turning Point for the X Division Championship, because let's face it, Matt Morgan can't go after the X Division Championship, despite the fact that RVD is a couple of pounds over the limit.
That's true. I do look forward to seeing the future of more Morgan at the minute than Ryan.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Morgan seems to be more of the focus, really, than Joey Ryan right now, but I don't think for 1 second RVD will put over Joey Ryan at the pay-per-view, though. That's all I'll say about that. Next week, we get AJ Styles versus Bobby Roode. That should be a pretty good match to sort of hype up the #1 contendership.
And even though the Ace and Eight's main event this week, with those two big names, they should get the main event. But I'm sure the Ace and Eight will wiggle something out of this.
Yeah, or Jeff Hardy and Austin Aries possibly. This is essentially a third-tier feud for TNA. So we then get to our main event, which was Bully Ray calling out Devon. So we knew this was going to happen from last week. They hyped it up with the opener and that segment about halfway through the show. You get Bully Ray calling out Devon. Devon runs away from Bully Ray and then calls out for his backup. And Bully Ray manages to hold them up very well, all 10 of them with a chain, like, fuck you, ninja, 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 ninja.
This was pretty cleverly done, because obviously Devon versus Bully Ray, we didn't really want to see that match yet. It's more of a pay-per-view, even though you've seen these two fight before. with this new angle they got, it was more of a pay-per-view thing. So for the Ace and Eights to get involved was very nicely done. There was a lot of members. Are we really going to reveal them all? That's the big surprise for the future. But this, I think, went down pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, the interaction between the two is very good. I mean, they know each other inside out. You had Bully Ray getting the table out there and threatening to put Devon through the table. You then have all the Ace and Eights, like I said, ganging up on Bully Ray in the ring with Devon at the helm. Yeah, beat the fucker, beat the fucker. And then we have all the roster again coming out, and we have another... We've seen this many times in TNA now. It's getting a tad stale, in my opinion. Another massive brawl in the ring. One of the members saves Bully Ray, but Park comes out and gets beat down by a member of the Aces and Eights, and we finally, apart from the Devon reveal, we finally get a reveal, which I think the storyline needed because it was going along so slowly and so generically, in my opinion. We did need something to really get us interested in the storyline. We get the reveal that it is none other than...
Luke Gallows.
Luke Gallows, who was the former Straight Edge Society member for CM Punk, wasn't he?
Yeah, great.
Yeah, I remember that. And do you know what? You sold it just about as well as Mike Tenay sold it. I can't believe Mike Tenay, he sold this like a fucking wet fart, didn't he? He was like, oh, it's Luke Gallows. Oh, rather than going, oh, it's Luke Gallows. Oh my God, I can't believe it. A JR Slobberknocker sell job. He sells it like freaking shit, which is why he shouldn't be on fucking commentary.
The big thing about this, which I'm looking forward to seeing possibly happening, is we have Luke Gallows versus Joseph Parks, because he asked for a match. He's revealed one of them. He should get a match. Pretty good match there. And the way that they gave Luke Gallows a lot stronger than Devon, because what Luke Gallows did was put Joseph Parks through the table with a chokeslam. That was more of a BAM! I've been revealed, look what I've done, I'm ready to be a part of the Ace and Eights without the mask.
I guess my issue here is it was a good reveal, but when the commentator sells it like he does like that, it just really doesn't make the segment very effective. But at the same time, a reveal is what we needed in this storyline, in my opinion.
Pretty much. Well, Devon, you seriously fucked up tonight, didn't you? We had to send one of the other Ace and Eights members into the ring to do your day work because you failed to take out Bully Ray. Now, at Turning Point, you have one chance to redeem yourself, or we're going to take care of business instead of you. Now, as for Bully Ray, who's now known as Bubba Ray, just because he's not here anymore, I'll tell you this, worthless mortal. At Turning Point, or sometime down the line, we'll finish you off. We'll take care of you. As for Sting, beware, worthless mortal.
So NJ, what were your overall thoughts on TNA Impact Wrestling this week? Open Fight Night, 2 weeks before Turning Point.
It was an okay show for some of the segments because it gave us direction, it gave us good moments. But I just don't think this was the greatest show that you would probably expect from TNA, but that was just my thought.
I mean, we've got Turning Point coming up in 2 weeks, and from what they said on the show, we've only got 3 matches announced so far. I put my 4th finger up. What a botch that is. But I've done that a couple of times now in the reviews. We only have 3 matches announced for Turning Point, but they did do a good job in at least giving us some direction towards other matches. The show wasn't fantastic, but I thought the first hour was quite strong, and then the 2 segments involving Robbie E and fucking ODB and Jesse Goddard then kind of diminished the flow of the show for me. The reveal of Luke Gallows is at least something more to this Aces and Eights storyline, which you've been calling out for a long time now, as it's kind of slowly prodded by. So I do wonder what they're going to do with the Aces and Eights at the pay-per-view now that how much longer is it going to take for them to reveal each member, etc. I really thought Wes Briscoe would get revealed tonight, but it'd be interesting to see. I wonder if they're going to rip off a Survivor Series style match off WWE, seeing as Survivor Series is coming up in 2-3 weeks' time.
It's kind of soon. The thing about this is that they're really trying to drag this Ace and Eights thing as long as they can, because the amount of members there are, I'm just wondering what they're going to do. Are they all going to be revealed as someone, or someone's going to fade off by the end? I don't know how they're going to do this, but with tonight, it's got me back to be interested in, because now 2 members out of 50 have been revealed.
There's another 48 to go, NJ. Oh, you should have said 52. That would have really fit the Aces and Eights sort of thing here, unless you got the 2 Jokers. So yeah, give us your thoughts on this edition of TNA Impact Wrestling, Open Fight Night edition, of course, down in the comment section below. I've been Mr. Parkin. This guy sitting next to me, you know who he is. He's going to give you an outro.
What's up? Now, YouTubers, thank you very much for watching this video. And all I'm going to say is tune in for future videos, and thank you very much for watching. Until next time, YouTubers, goodbye.